What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL Seal video. So today we are starting the first video in what I want to call a mini series. I go through each position in each video. We're starting with the goalkeepers, and then next video we're going to go defenders, then midfielders, and then attackers. If that is something that you think you might enjoy, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We have had a growth of subscribers over the past few weeks, and it has been so fun to see. I hope you guys continue subscribing to the channel, sharing my videos to your friends, and your followers to help me grow my community. It's really helpful, and it's really encouraging for me to keep making these videos. Now, if you do like it, please consider liking and subscribing, but let's get into the video. So on the screen in front of you, I've put together a table which has been sorted from how many points the teams are expected to get over the next few game weeks. So in the next 6 game weeks, from game week 17 when we restart to game week 22, that's the era I'm looking at, Chelsea are expected to accumulate the most points, then Man City, then Fulham. You can just read the table, you can just see the table, you can just look at the teams and look at the fixtures if you want, pause the video if you want. The difficulty rating, of course, red is the most difficult, then green is the easiest, and then grey is kind of in between. I put it together myself. This is my sort of assessment of the teams from what I've seen from the Premier League so far. I've put Wolves, teams like Wolves and Everton and Leeds down as green, but of course we never know what we're going to get from them. Lopetegui, hope I didn't butcher that pronunciation, the new Wolves manager, might in game week 21, when Man City faced them, have Wolves playing brilliantly. A well-oiled machine. Same with Aston Villa with Unai Emery, who is a great manager. They might actually become a red team or whatever. I don't expect that, but we don't know. He's a great manager and he has them playing some decent football, so we'll have to wait and see. According to this table, we should possibly be targeting Chelsea, Man City and Fulham assets, which is not going to be a problem. I think a lot of us are going to have Mitrovic and Andreas in our sides, and then most of us are going to have Haaland, possibly KDB or Foden, and then maybe a Cancelo or an Ederson. These teams, they have some double game weeks. I think that also pushes them up to the top of the table. As you can see, Man City have Chelsea, Man United, Tottenham, and then again Tottenham. So it's relatively difficult for them. But the first 2 fixtures are pretty nice, so you might want to triple up and then maybe consider selling a player or just keeping them. I mean, the double game is pretty good. Chelsea, on the other hand, have Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest, which is should be, on paper, very easy and very favourable fixtures. And then Man City and Fulham, which is a tricky double game week, not going to lie. And then they have Crystal Palace, Liverpool, and Fulham. So they have very mixed fixtures, but I think we could target something there. And from the looks of the fixture, I think maybe you should target their defense more than their attack. I don't expect Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth to put too many past them. Crystal Palace the same. But then again, Liverpool, Man City and Fulham are very decent attacking sides, so might want to watch out there. So maybe not triple up, or I think at max double up on Chelsea. So in front of me I have the best goalkeepers for expected points. So how many points they should have according to stats and the team's performances accumulated over the game week 1 to game week 16. So Nick Pope, who has actually got 70 points, should have 61.05 points. Ederson should be second with 58, but we all know that Henderson at Nottingham Forest is actually second with 67 points. A real overachiever there, so I wouldn't really go for him. Alisson is third with 65 in real life. Well, right there we have Lloris with 57. So David Raya is the only one who actually keeps his place. He's 4th in real life with 61 points, and David Raya is 4th in this list with 56.66 points. Now, Danny Ward, the legend, for 4.1 million, he is 7th in this list. Very well done from him. Aaron Ramsdale, 6th. Fabianski, 5th. I mean, this is all just well and good. I just wanted to show you guys, the how much they should have got, which goalkeepers should be, which are underachieving, which are overachieving. You can look at this, pause the video, check on the official FPL page what they actually have. I mean, it's just fun to look at, to really just think about this. Now, I do get all my stats that I bring out in this video from Fantasy Football Hub, so do consider looking at their page. I'll leave a link in the description. Do consider just checking out their page. Maybe you want to become a member. This is not a sponsored video. Since I'm taking the stats from their page, I just want to give them a shout out for you guys to check them out. So do check them out if you're interested in more stats like this. And let's get into the next one. So here we have the best players for predicted points. Ederson is expected to have 27.9 points this, over the next 6 game weeks. Again, like the the fixture table, I'm lining this up from 17 to 22. So he's expected to get 27.9 points. Really, it's relatively good, but he's not expected to get many save points. It's just because the Man City defense is so good, and their fixtures are okay, that I think he's expected to get this many points. Ramsdale comes in second, then Lloris, then Arrizabalaga, who is of course a little bit cheaper than those guys. He's 0.4 cheaper than Ramsdale and a lot cheaper than Lloris and Ederson, but he has 24.2. So you can see there's just a 3-point difference there. So maybe not worth going for Ederson, who is like a million or 0.9 million more expensive than Arrizabalaga for only 3 points. I think that money is better spent elsewhere. Bernd Leno surprisingly 5th in that table with 24.1. I think that's because Fulham have a double game week and a very favourable fixture run. Alisson 6th, and then Pope 7th. So maybe Pope is not the way to go. That's something we'll get into a little bit later. So the best goalkeepers for the price of 3.8 to 4.5. Now there's very limited, players that you'd want here, but I think you have to put Danny Ward, who has 60 points in real life, only 4.1 million at the top of that table, just because of the price. If the game was set up so that every goalkeeper is 4 million, you wouldn't think about Danny Ward. I think you'd think about Arrizabalaga ahead of him, Pickford, Gaida. He'd crumble down that list. But with the 60 points, you just can't argue. He's just really good value, and I think he should be number 1 on your team list. If you're thinking about a reserve goalkeeper, just keep Danny Ward in there. Now, Arrizabalaga is second. This is just my ranking. So he is second on my list, 4.5 million, 29 points. He didn't play that many games, which is why he has only got 29 points. We're talking about the fact that Arrizabalaga has played 5.5 games in 16 fixtures. So, yeah, 29 points from that. I mean, in those games, he got 3 clean sheets, went off injured in the 6th game, so it's only 5.5. So basically at 50%, he's keeping a clean sheet in every other game. Very well done, and I think Potter's gonna have them I think they're gonna be well drilled. I think Chelsea are gonna be well drilled from the return from the World Cup. So I think that Arrizabalaga is gonna be a decent option. Now, I had to fill this list out. I'm not saying that I'm thinking about these goalkeepers, but if I had to list them, I think Pickford, Gaida, Leno, Melier. That's what I'd probably line them up as. I just don't trust the Leeds defence. I don't trust the Fulham defence. The Crystal Palace defence had good stats last season. They just haven't managed to kind of turn that into real outcome, into the performance. While I do believe that Everton are quite tight at the back. I think they're quite organised under Frank Lampard, and they've actually kind of impressed me how they can actually keep the big sides out, and Pickford can get many saves, and he's a really good goalkeeper, so I think he's a decent option there at 4.5. So 4.6 to 5 million. Now this has I've put Ramsdale up top because Arsenal and Newcastle and Man City are the 3 best defenses in the league, before the World Cup. We don't know how they're going to return from this. But at only 4.9 million, I think he's a decent player to pick. I think Arsenal are going to have a good defensive record, but if you don't want to lock in an Arsenal place, in the goalkeeper department, there are other players you want to target. You could go for De Gea, you could go for David Raya, who, as I said, has looked really good. You could go for Sanchez at Brighton or Saw at Wolves, who I think actually Wolves are going to come back and be a lot more defensively sound and look a lot better than they did prior to the World Cup because they have a better manager. And then finally we have the premium goalkeepers, 5.1 million to 5.5 million. Ederson's at the top for me. Then there's Pope, then Alisson, then Lloris. The main reason I think Pope should be second is because I think Man City defense is better. I think most of it are going to have Trippier anyway, so maybe you don't want to double up on that Newcastle defense with their fixtures. Alisson, he's very decent, but doesn't get that many save points. The Liverpool defense has not been the same as it was last season. And then Lloris at Tottenham, of course, 5.5 million, 55 points. I mean, decent option. I wouldn't go there. I just had to list them. There's only 4 options that I had to list because I listed every single one of them. There's only 4 premium goalkeepers, that I'd count as premium. And those are the options. So if you want a premium goalkeeper, I think I'd probably go Ederson or Pope. I wouldn't look at the other 2, but to each their own. So the overall ranking, and this is like just neglecting the price points, you know, like we're not going to put Ederson separate and then Ward separate. We're putting everyone together in a pile, and we're thinking, how much money do you want to spend on your goalkeepers? I would put Arrizabalaga up top there, because I think for 4.5 million you can save 0.8 versus Pope. I think Arrizabalaga is a really good option. He's going to get some save points. I think Chelsea are going to be relatively solid. They have a double game week coming up. They have decent fixtures. Well, Pope, of course, brilliant. But like I said, you already have Trippier. You probably have a Newcastle defender. So you can always target that defense, you know, like that. Danny Ward is third. But that is only because I really like Arrizabalaga and I like Pope as my main goalkeeper. But the fact that Ward is third, I mean, he has 6 clean sheets. Leicester look decent. I think they have relatively decent fixtures. Ramsdale and Ederson, of course, then 4th and 5th, in my opinion. So I'd probably target 1 or 2 of those goalkeepers. Ward, of course, on that list because he allows you to save that money and he could be your backup goalkeeper. And keeping him and Arrizabalaga or him and Ramsdale or him and Pope or whatever allows you to have 2 playing goalkeepers. So when you want to bench boost, you can do that anytime because you don't have to think about your goalkeepers. And now finally, my picks for Game Week 17. At the moment, now this can always change, but at the moment, this will most likely be my Game Week 17 goalkeeper pairing. Arrizabalaga will be my number 1 goalkeeper playing most games, and then Danny Ward will, opt in and out. You can rotate them quite well. You can have Arrizabalaga against Bournemouth and bench Danny Ward, who has Newcastle, then play Arrizabalaga against Nottingham Forest. And then in the double gaming again, then you can have Danny Ward against Nottingham Forest, and then you can have Danny Ward against Brighton, and just neglect Arrizabalaga for the next 2. And then of course it's kind of a 50-50 Fulham, Aston Villa. Which one do you want, to play your goalkeeper in? But you never really have a really, really bad fixture. You have very decent fixtures all the time. You have 2 Nottingham Forest fixtures, and I just think it's a really good pairing. But again, to each their own. So that's going to wrap up the video, guys. In the comments below, please just let me know, what do you think about my choices? Do you have a different combination that you're thinking of? Do you have a brilliant combination that everybody is, overlooking? Like, do 2 teams rotate really well and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go with Pope and Danny Ward. Do they rotate brilliantly? Do check it out. Do your research and comment down below. Let us know. But again, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel and helping me grow this community. I'm going to be back with the defenders, the video about the defenders in the mini series. So I hope you enjoyed it. But that's all for today. Goodbye.